Alright legends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing some diving fails and splats, so let's get into it. So we're going to start with my good friend Tom York. Now I went to school with Tom and we did a little bit of diving together. And this was one of his dives at one of the school competitions. Let's have a look. Alright, very good teeters. He's up and he's down. The funny thing about this one, I have seen this one before. I love this entry position. This is not textbook. Not like that. But he did give it a good crack, so we'll give him that. Now, Tom was a good diver, but he did have some fails over the years, so he sent me a few extras. Let's check out the next one. All right, so this event, this was actually a good event. This is at School Nationals. Now, he's on the 7 meter. He's competing in his event. He's about to do his handstand. Now, you can see he doesn't hold his handstand straight off and straight off to the side. So there's a few things wrong with this one. No, he didn't hold the handstand, and then he also went off and to the side. So yeah, he got zeros. That's a bit rough. Sorry, Tom. Tom's one of my good friends, so thanks for sending the videos, Tom. And a huge thank you to everyone who does send in videos, because it does take a bit of courage to put out their year flops, and there's going to be a few of mine in there as well. The next diver is from New Zealand. Now, my friend Nathan, we've done many international competitions together, and he sent me some fails from his career. Now, this first one is from Ukraine, at the Junior World Championships. Now, I personally put down some shocking dives at that competition as well, but I also walked away with a team event medal in Ukraine. So let's have a look at this dive. Okay, so he's going down. He's on the corner of the board, so he's not getting the proper takeoff. He's coming all the way around. Oh, and that's a foul dive. That's a foul dive right there. You know what? He had a good crack. Some people will just balk and fall off the end, but he's sent it. He's up, but he's not making that dive, and his feet hit first. You know what really gets me too, because this is a screen recording from the actual Junior World Championships. The music in the background. Fail. Why is that so fun? Sorry. I love you, Nathan. The music gets me. It's like happy and vibey. But at least you sent it. It's about having a crack. So this was early in the year. Every day I was jumping in and just doing the double backflip straight for fun. Now my coach always made fun of my double backflip straights because they were terrible technique, and I was just kind of sending it for the fun of it. And they were quite easy. I thought, you know what? The double back ain't too hard. Could I do triple? So I thought I'd give it a crack. Now I asked my coach to give me a call, but little did I know I was not gonna need it. Let's have a look. So I'm doing my bounce. 2 bounces, send it, 1, 2, 2 1/4. That was like flat in my face. Now, fortunately, this didn't actually hurt too bad. I was just kind of got a rude awakening of how uneasy that was gonna be. Now, fortunately, this is not a technical dive. It was just for the lols, but I haven't tried it since, that's for sure. All right, so next up, we have a video from Labbit. Now, my friend Ramon actually shot this clip, and it's when he's learning a new dive, the reverse 2.5. Now, back in reverse, when you learn them, they can be a little bit iffy, so let's have a look. All right, it is in slow-mo. We're gonna speed up a little bit. You got 1, 2. Now, when he's meant to kick, you're meant to kick a little bit short and look for the water. He kicked like reverse and like flat. You can even see all the splash going onto Ramon's camera. So when you're wetting Ramon from the pool, you know you've made a bit of a mistake. But it's a good crack, and that dive for him is going a lot better. So this video is from Benji, or Ben. Now, Ben's a legend. He's one of our good divers as well, and what he's doing here is some bounces on the board. Now, it does look like he is jumping a little too high on the board, and he's off. Oh. Yeah, as a diver, you really feel for this one, because a knee buckle is something that's kind of completely out of your control. In fact, in the video, you can hear that even the people videoing think that he's jumping for too long.
Come on, that was...
The problem is, you want to kind of just give one good bounce and send it off. Some people do 3, but if you're jumping too high on the end of the board for too long, sometimes your knees can give out, especially if you hit the wrong angle. And then if you're at that wrong angle, the force doesn't go through your body correctly, and it can just give up and you can buckle. Now, I've done a few of these before, and they're not fun. Luckily, he came out pretty unscathed, although this looks pretty painful. All right, he's up on 10. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's a front 3.5. Now you can see he has got the bubble on. So this would have been maybe one of the first or second times he's ever done this dive. And the bubble comes up to try and break that surface tension more than say a little trickle. We have a little trickle so you can see the top, but we have a big bubble to come up. So if you do make a major mistake, it can hurt less. But as a whole, if you're making a major mistake, it still hurts really bad. Okay, so we have another one from Nathan. He's back up on 10 meter. He's staying there a little bit long. And he's sending it. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's bad. And you can see his coach walk straight over just to try and see how he is. Typically, that's what will happen. If you've done a really bad mistake, someone's either jumping in to grab you or your coach is kind of running over to see how you are. This was a pretty bad one, only because it wasn't just short or over, it was like right dead vertical. And those are the ones that like really wind you and can like, you know, give you concussions or trouble breathing. I remember I've done a few before where I've landed flat on my back and I like tore muscles in my lungs. You can cough up blood and I like could not breathe properly like for like 2 weeks. That was rough. So this one I have a lot of sympathy for. I feel bad for him. But Nathan's a legend and he was at the Commonwealth Games with me and he did really well. So most of these guys that have made these mistakes have always come back and put down solid performances. So just don't give up. But that would have hurt. All right, so we're moving on to Yona. Now, Yona is a legend in himself because he's the first Olympic diver from Jamaica, where Usain Bolt's from. Now, those boys have hung out. He showed me some photos, which is so cool. He's one of my good friends, and he sent me some good dives to review. Let's have a look. So he's currently down here on the 1 meter. It's in slow-mo, so he's up. Okay, he's doing reverse pike. 1, 2. He's coming around for triple 3. Oh. Now, that one would have hurt his balls. When you go short, it can get your balls, which does really hurt. So I really feel for him there. But a good crack. This reverse triple pike is quite hard, and he is a very tall diver, similar to myself, but he's actually taller. So he's done a good job there. Now he's on 3 meter. He's sending a dive. I think he's doing the front 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Again, shorten these balls. I really hope those weren't on the same day, otherwise he'd be really struggling. But again, he's a big diver and he does manage to do this dive quite well, but this would have been one in training, just a little bit short. But a front 4.5 is a difficult dive and he is quite a tall diver, but he can do them. Thanks, Yona, sending those in. Appreciate it. Now, Rihanna Iflin, the world champion cliff diver. You may have seen her in some of our earlier videos at the Red Bull Cliff Diving in Norway, or another video where Timmy actually helped me on in Sydney, which was such good fun. We were right in the action. She has sent me in some fails. Unfortunately, fortunately not from her actual diving, but from a rope swing. We've got the GoPro, we can see a bridge. This bridge, I think, is actually up near Newey. I haven't been to this one before though. She's, Okay, this one, she's come down and collected the water with her legs and then just dropped and skidded across the top. In fact, there's so much going on here, I'm quite concerned as to what exactly would have not been hurt, because this would have collected everything. That looks painful. So when it comes to diving, you need to compete one dive in every single direction. One of those directions is a twist. Now, at the Olympics and at any major event, on my 10 meter list, I always use my back 1.5 twist, 2.5 somersaults. Now, I have been learning the 2.5 twist, but my coach wants me to maybe do the front triple twisting 2.5. But in process of learning my back 2.5 twist, this was one of my first steps that I got wrong. Let's check it out. So I'm up, 1, 2, and over, flat my back. Now, what happened here was I took off, and because it was a new skill, I didn't completely understand the dive. And I thought I needed a lot more rotation than what I did, because you've got to focus on getting the twist nice and straight. Well, I was trying to go for the rotation. I come around and thought I had a lot more space to try and dive it in, and I just landed flat on my back. My coach wasn't happy with that one. I remember he was actually a bit annoyed that my technique wasn't good. He didn't let me try that again for another 2 weeks. Now, I just wanted to go up and do it again, but they are pretty big on getting the technique right. And that was not it. This is from a rope swing, again from Tom York. Now, I thought we're done with Tom, but he just has too many spectacular dives. Now, I remember we were at the Blue Mountains, we're at this massive rope swing and I was so excited to try it. Now he tells me, I quote, "Let me go first so I can show you how it's done." So we all stand back. Now he also warned us that when you pull up the rope, because you got to pull it all the way up, and you got to leave that rope in a correct kind of circle. So when you swing down, that comes as well, but it doesn't get caught. So he said, make sure that rope doesn't get tangled. You got to do it like this. All right, Tom, we'll do it like that. So he jumps, he goes down. What happens? The rope gets tangled. Smack, straight off on his side. Now, after he came up, I wanted to make sure he was okay. Once I realized he was fine, we thought this was hilarious. The funniest thing was he literally warned us about the two things that just happened. And the other thing was when he hit the water, it was so cold. I don't think he knew what happened. He was just like he was thinking he'd go all the way up and jump off, but he got caught legit just right at the bottom, at the peak of the swing, and smashed and hit his side, which was very funny once we realized he was okay. But his fingers were so sore because he was expecting to like swing all the way up, and next minute he's off. he just landed flat on his side. I've watched this video way too many times. Tom, you're a legend. In Ukraine, Nathan might have done a shocking dive, but I did as well. Now in competition, not too bad. But here was one of my spectacular dives from training. So I'm up on 10 meter. I'm doing my favorite dive, Miami 3.5. You can see on 10 meter how packed it is at these events. There's so many people, and I miss my hands. Now I miss my hands, and the problem with that is you have nothing to stop you hitting the water but your head. So I just collected my head right in the water and did the world's biggest splash. That dive probably would have cost me a solid 2 points in competition. Luckily we got more than that, but that's what training's for. Well, ideally you don't want to be botching them too hard in training. You want training to be a bit of a confidence booster. So when you are putting dives down like that, it doesn't make you feel too great going into competition, but you do always go in with the mindset of no matter what happens in training, I'm gonna nail it in comp. Or I'm gonna go down trying. Next up, we actually have a rope swing of my own. Now here, I sent a backflip and I thought, you know what? Let's do a double. How'd that go for me? Well, not too great. Let's check it out. I don't know why I thought I had the room to make this. I kicked, didn't have the rotation or the height, landed like flat on my face. Luckily it wasn't too high, so most of these fails, you know, the repercussions aren't too bad, but this was just a bit of an L. This dive, I'd never seen my coach Howell laugh so much in his life. I think this was the funniest dive he'd ever witnessed, and he's been coaching for like 30 years. He's been in the sport for like 40. And what I was trying to do was a Burani, which is a front semi half twist, and then not one backflip, but two backflips after. So it's kind of a front triple half twist, but it's a forward somersault half twist with a double back. Let's check it out. Now you can see Howell sitting down in the background, and you can see my friend Hamish walking over as well, and just their reactions are priceless. Okay, so there's three reactions in here I love. Number one is Kater, who's a Japanese coach who is here coaching Rin, one of his divers, and he is sitting on the far right, Howell's in the middle, and Hamish is walking on the left, and all of them, their reaction is just hilarious. And what happened was I tried to grab my legs to do that double backflip too early, and I grabbed my butt and I couldn't get into that position. So I was just stuck there. And Howell saw my eyes just in my back of the head, trying to just figure out who I was. And it didn't go down too well, but it was funny. So this one is from my good friend, Ben On. Now, Ben actually dove with me for the very beginning of my diving career for a few years in the Institute. And we actually went to school together. He's a top bloke. And here, he's sending a triple backflip on 1 meter. Now, I quote, he said, "I'm just not gonna come out." Now, some divers sometimes say that if they don't think they're gonna make a dive, it's like, oh, I just won't come out and I'll just wait till I hit the water. But it's kind of like a bit of a sarcastic thing. He wasn't joking. Let's check this out. So he has got a bubble. Hopefully it helps. Okay, he's bouncing. He's up. 1, 2, 3. That's like 3.5 on 1 meter, which is very, very difficult. And he just wipes out. But you know what? He had an absolute crack, and this was kind of funny. It was just funny that he just didn't come out. Like, he said he wasn't going to come out, and he didn't. We have his reaction here too. So he comes up and you can just see on his face that he knows that dive wasn't his best. But it was funny. Big teeters. He's been going for a while. He's up 1.5. Okay, so he's done like 2.5 twists and then bailed and then like lands on his side. Now, twisting's an interesting one because it's quite mental. Forward somersaults and back somersaults you can spot like 1, 2, 3. The twist is more something you feel. So when you make a mistake, it can take a huge dig at the confidence because you're like, what happened? But he doesn't look too injured. I think this was just a bit of a funny splat, and I'm sure he would have just done it again and been fine. This video is actually quite a bad splat. Candy I've dove with my whole life in N-Swiss, and both of us have had some probably shocking wipeouts in the years, and this is one of hers from Gold Coast. I remember I was competing this year, I was in the grandstand, and I felt bad because this is quite a difficult pool to dive in. And the reason is the sky's blue and the water's blue. And I don't know why, but I've seen countless wipeouts in this pool, shocking wipeouts. I've never been to this pool and not seen someone rush to hospital. I feel bad, it's kind of a bad rap for the pool. I've also had a lot of fun there. I went there with Xanthi, we had good fun, but I've just seen a lot of shocking wipeouts here. All right, let's watch it. Oh, I get nervous watching this. 1, 2, 3. I don't even like watching wipeouts that are this bad. Like it's shocking. That was a fail dive and it was just like flat on her tummy. Luckily Ned's really tough and she was fine, but that's rough. And you can see she's come out and kind of looked for the water like forward, which is just a bit of a mistake, and she's come down right in her stomach. You know it's bad when you haven't gone deep at all. Like you've legit just hit the water and you've kind of stayed there. You can just swim away. That's when you know you've really made a mistake. I've done a few of those and they're not fun. You want to kind of go down deep and finish that dive. But she's a trooper. So this is Corey. He's up on 10 meter and he's doing a handstand, but it's a cliff diving move and it's super basic for 10 meter, but it's technical. Now what he needs to do is just pop up and land on his feet. He'd never done it before, and I remember he chose not to do a build up. So let's see what happened. He's holding his handstand, good handstand, he's up. Too much rotation, flatten his back. You can see the coaches, they're just confused. They look at each other like, how do you do that? Now what has happened is he just got too much rotation. He did the arm swing and landed flat on his back. And the bruises from that were pretty bad. I did feel bad for him, but he was fine. So many of you guys may have seen Brittany O'Brien's TikTok, so you might have seen her in the back of mine. We do nearly every trip together, fortunately, because I love traveling with her, because she's a legend, one of my good friends. Now, Brittany has done some fails over the year as well, like most of us. But this is just a really funny and quirky one. It's just because of the way it happened. Let's have a watch. So she's bouncing, her knees buckle, and I don't even know how this happens. Like, her knees kind of buckle, and then she goes off to the side. Maybe I've read this wrong. Maybe she didn't buckle, maybe. Okay, I think what she's trying to do here is a burani, which is a front semi half twist backflip. That one I can't wipe down before. I think she was attempting something similar. This is really weird. Okay, and she's like gone off to the side, just utter like spider in the air, just landed flat on her side. Very unique. It's interesting because I don't know how this happened, but it's funny. Thanks, Britt. I appreciate it. Plus, a huge shout out to Brittany because she sent me most of the fails I'm reviewing here from everyone. She had more of my fails than I do, so thank you. This is another one from Ned, just mucking around, but it's kind of funny. It's like a tandem front foot backflip, which didn't really go to plan. They got rotation, which means Ned landed flat in her face and the other girl landed like flat in the back. We have another one from Brittany. So thanks, Britt. Let's see what you're gonna do. She's on 3 meter, bouncing. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Now, you can see Declan's reaction over there on the springboard. I'm just gonna zoom into him. Look at this, you can see him watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh! And you can tell from Declan's reaction, he knows from the takeoff that she's not gonna be able to make it. But the thing is, Brittany's actually done this dive really well, and is probably one of the first girls in the world to do this. She's a bit of a pioneer in this. It's incredible, but she didn't get enough rotation. I think her knees buckled a tiny bit in that takeoff. And she just needed to flatten the ball. She actually didn't come out at all. She just spun the whole way around. But I really give it to her because she's pushing the boundaries. She does a really good in between 2.5 and 1 meter. Now, for the girls, these are really difficult dives. Even for the guys that do them, they're quite difficult. So incredible effort from Britt. This is my biggest fail in diving ever. We were in Spain, Madrid. I was representing Australia and I put down this number. I remember too, I was so frustrated because training had been so good. And what happened, I just missed my spot and made a mistake. And this is what happened. Oh, I hate watching this video. 1, 2, 3. I remember I came up, again, when you don't go down deep, you know you've made a major mistake. Like I just hit the water and basically didn't go down at all. And I come straight up and I was in a bit of shock as to like, how did I do that? How did I pull that one off? I don't know. I put it down in training for like 9s or 10s. Like I did it so well. These things just happen. I remember I had to go up and do it again very, very soon after. And it was fine. It's fine. Most of these things, you make a mistake and you go up and it's fine. But the problem was, this was in competition. This was my second dive. And I didn't pull out. I kept going. I finished the competition. And I was actually only a few points on making it through to the next round. So I just kept fighting. But I remember for my next dive, my back 3.5, which back and reverse are extremely similar, I was terrified because I didn't know what happened on reverse. And I had back. And I went up there. I was like, okay, just stick to training. Just send it and stick to what you know. And it was good. And I put it down solid. And I kept going throughout the rest of the competition. But that was a really rough day. You know what's also something about this? When you're so far away from home, you then spend like nearly 2 days traveling home. And it weighs so heavy on your minds. Most of these mistakes, yes, they physically hurt quite bad for a while. But it's the mental damage that sometimes is done that is harder to work through. But believe it or not, this is actually one of my most consistent dives in competition. And I do enjoy this dive and I can put this dive down well, but mistakes happen. Let's keep moving forward. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe. Don't turn on the bell because I put too many shorts out. I'll see you in the next video. And of course, put down below if you have any suggestions or video ideas, comments about the video, and tell me which splat was your favorite.